What if I told you that your contact form might be costing you clients? It's true that standard website feature that we've all been taught to use could actually be creating unnecessary barriers between you and your next potential client. Today, we're going to talk about why traditional contact forms might be hurting your conversion and what to do instead.
Welcome to Website Design Made Simple, the podcast for busy small business owners who want a high-performing website that converts and sells their offers, even while they're sleeping. Because you deserve to have a strategic and beautiful website that truly represents your brand and positions you as the expert that you are. I'm your host, Jenny B., web designer and creative director at Jenny B Designs, where we believe that your website is the one thing that makes you sales and builds your brand at the same time. Ready to say goodbye to a website that you're embarrassed to share? And hello to a money-making, personality-packed powerhouse? Let's head into today's episode.
Hello, welcome to the podcast. Thanks so much for joining me. I really appreciate you listening. If we haven't already met, my name is Jenny. I own Jenny B Designs, and we are a brand and web design studio. And my passion is helping small business owners like yourself build beautiful and strategic websites that truly reflect who they are and attract their ideal clients and make them money. I do this by creating full website redesigns. If you have a website and you need it redesigned, that is my sweet spot. But I also offer audits and reviews of current websites to give you some recommendations on what you can do instead to make it a little bit more strategic. So let's get right down to the episode. Today, we're talking all about website forms. And the common belief is that every single website needs a contact form. But the reality is that contact forms can actually create unnecessary barriers between you and your client. And timing is really the key part of this puzzle. Timing matters so much when it comes to converting those visitors into clients, the people that come to your website, turning them into becoming part of your community and working with you. The problem with having a traditional contact form on your website is that forms create an extended waiting period. And let's actually define what I mean by form. On your website, you have a singular goal. And the goal for most service providers is to either fill out a contact form and then have a discovery call or a consultation call to get a little bit more information about your potential client and ensure there is a right fit for working together. The whole goal of the website is to drive people to the contact page. And on that contact page, there is that contact form. So that is what I'm talking about when I say contact forms. And when you have a form on this page, what you're doing is asking your potential client to fill out a bunch of answers to questions that you need to know prior to taking the next step with them. And what forms do is they create this extended waiting period. Someone fills out the form. They are so excited to work with you and take the next step. And then they might get a message that says, yes, we'll be back to you in 24 hours or 12 hours. But between filling out the form and when you get back to them, you have this time, this waiting period, where is that loss of momentum and excitement. And sometimes the process is the potential client fills out the form, you get that information, then you send them an email, and then they read that email, and then they send you another email to either schedule a call or to find out more information, and you go back and forth. You have this back and forth communication. And this increases your chance of leads going cold, meaning someone just doesn't want to keep emailing or just stops in the middle of the process. And it can become a place where people can abandon the process. There is a lot of, it's called form abandonment statistics that show when someone fills out a form, if they can't immediately do the action that they want to do, sometimes they lose interest and they abandon the whole process. And when that happens, you are actually losing potential clients. Let's talk about the benefits of having a direct scheduler. When I'm talking about this, and this is for the business that, like I said, really likes to have a phone call consultation. For myself, for an example, on my website, I send people to the contact page, and the goal of the contact page is for people to schedule a consultation call with me. That is the first step to my sales process. A lot of people have this step. They want to have a chat, make sure that it's the right fit, that you can actually deliver what your client is going to need. When you have a scheduler directly on your contact page that allows your potential client to directly schedule an appointment with you, they are able to kind of strike where their motivation is high. It has that instant gratification for your potential clients. We are all very busy people, and the rise of Amazon, we can't wait more than 24 hours for something to be delivered. We want things immediately. And when you have that direct scheduler on your contact page, it is that instant gratification for your potential clients. And the client can really control the process. They feel like they're in control. They're not just filling out a form and then waiting for you to take the next step. They feel like they've done everything that they need to do to take the next step with you. And by doing this, it reduces your, as the business owner's, administrative work on the back end. You don't have to do those emails back and forth to ask more questions or to set up that. The client immediately was able to schedule an appointment with you to have that consultation call, and it's all done. And there are tools like Calendly, Acuity, I think it's Square now. There's also Simply Book-Me. I see a lot of people use AmeliaCal.com. There are many scheduling platforms, and actually a fair amount of them are free for one appointment type. Think about if it's possible to add a scheduler, if that is the intended goal of your potential clients, to your contact page instead of having a form. Reduce that friction, the amount of steps that someone needs to have in order to get that first step with your process. I'm going to use me as an example. I like to integrate my CRM, which is where I do all of my client booking. I do my proposals, my invoices, the contracts, everything is over there. It also does the scheduling for me. My scheduler is through my CRM, Honeybook. That's what I like to use. Now, if you go to my contact page, you will actually see that I do have a form on that page because I want to know a few pieces of key information from my potential client, their current website, what they're looking for. And then once they click that form, they're directly taken to my scheduler and they book the scheduler right there, one and done. So yes, I'm using a form on my website, but it's not just a form. It's a form to a scheduler. That's how my scheduler works with HoneyBook. You have to fill out the form first and then schedule an appointment. But I do know for others like Calendly or Square, you can actually have the scheduler first and then collect any information that you need. My point in sharing this is that you want to have that end goal right there on that page. So if the end goal is to have an appointment booked, you want to have that scheduler in place. Now let's talk about what if a call isn't your first step? What should you have on the contact page? I want you to think about what you can share with your potential client that reduces that back and forth email for the inquiries. Perhaps you have something that involves a little bit more specific pricing. And someone fills out your form and then you do some calculations and it involves this many components and then you give them back a quote or an estimate of what you could share. Is there a way that you could have a self-service pricing calculator so someone actually knows what it's going to cost to give them the ability to have an estimate there? Or are you selling something that perhaps they can actually just buy themselves online and it could just be click buy and have it all done? Or is there a resource that when someone fills out the form, they're directly taken to a resource or they're emailed a resource that can give them more information about what they need to take the next step in the process? Is there a way that you can automate some of this? When someone fills out a form, maybe an automation kicks off in the back end and then they get emailed with some information. And then in 2 days, there's a follow-up. What can you do to make it so that your client has everything they need to take the next step with you besides filling out the contact form and just waiting for you to get back to them? What I'm trying to get at is that we want to make the process on the contact page more user-friendly. It's really important that we reduce the steps to conversion. We want to make sure that there is clear pricing information, there is transparent next steps, and there's that instant confirmation and feedback. Now, when do forms actually make sense? This is if you have a very complex project, the complex project inquiries, and you need a lot of specific information from the actual person. That could be when it could really work well. Perhaps if there's a custom quote and it's not something that you could just bucket and give ranges, and that could be a good reason. Or if you have many people in your decision process. But what you want to do is you want to optimize these forms. You want to make sure that there's that clear call to action and there's a strategic placement on the website, on the contact page, making sure you're sharing with them exactly what will happen when they fill out the form. And if possible, consider using that follow-up automation. I want you to think about your contact form. What is the final step in your process? Is it that call? Well, then perhaps try integrating a scheduler. Try to reduce the form, the things that people need to fill out, and make it so that they can just take action on what they need. And if there's something that they can just buy, well, then consider adding that buy now button, having direct scheduling. If you charge for a session, then having someone be able to just buy now for that session and schedule it and get it done. Think about what you want them to do and reduce the amount of friction that you have on that contact page for having things take place. And there you have it. Sometimes the best form is no form at all. Whether you choose to implement that direct scheduler or find another way to streamline your client journey, remember, the easier you make it for people to work with you, the more likely they are going to do just that. Take a look at your website. Is your contact process helping or hurting your conversions? And if you're still using that contact form just because that's how it's always been done, then it might be time for a change. If you've been thinking about this, how you might go optimizing your contact form as well as the other pages on your website and feel like a website redesign might be what you need, I would love to help. This is my passion for building small business websites that attract your ideal clients and make you money. You can click the link in the show notes where you can learn more about my website design process. And once you learn about the process, then it will direct you to my contact page where you can fill out the form and schedule a consultation right then and there. Instant gratification. Thank you so much for listening, and I will chat with you next time.
And that wraps up another episode of Website Design Made Simple. I hope you found the insights shared in this episode valuable and takes you one step closer to creating a website that attracts more of your ideal clients and builds your brand. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a minute to leave a review on Apple Podcasts or a rating on Spotify. Your review will help us reach more small business owners like you who are ready to make more money with their website. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode.